There are many values of studying British literature, but there are two we are going to focus on today: the changing cultures from the Middle Ages to the 20th century and the literary styles. The Middle Ages is the time period from the fall of the Roman Empire to the year 1485. This is including the Renaissance and Reformation. There was lots of fighting during the time period, which was a big influence on the types of topics people wrote about. The 16th century literature was influenced by the cultural aspects of the Reformation and the reigns of Henry VIII and all of his children, including Elizabeth I. During this century, there was a strong development of the English language, which also strengthened the English state. Most poetry was read to the courts because the closer you were to the crown, the more likely you were to become wealthy. The 17th century was the reign of the Stuart kings. Science was also starting to overcome the old belief system. The writers of this era knew that their ideas were being replaced with science, but chose to continue to write about them. The 18th century sees the end of the Stuart reign and the beginning of the House of Hanover. This century also saw the Glorious Revolution and the decline of the favoring of aristocratic way of life. The Romantic period has no clear starting date, but is extremely complex. New types of poetry, plays, and novels are starting to take favor, and Shakespeare's sonnets gained lots of popularity during this time. The Victorian age is dominated by the reign of Queen Victoria. Charles Darwin's Origins of Species is published and has great influence. This age was a transitional one, from old ideas to new ones. There is a new sense of modernity. Finally, the 20th century was a time of rapid change. With the two world wars, the Great Depression, the women's suffrage movement, and the loss of colonies, Britain had a lot to think about. Other values that can be learned from studying British literature are the types of stories and varied styles of writing. For example, the Middle Ages were composed of heroic poems, written in Old English, while in the 16th century we saw the development of Shakespearean rhythm.